Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is to wherever you're at. 91 Cav GT here. Green energy is a farce. Let that sink in for a minute. Green energy is a farce. An oxymoron, if you will. Green energy is horrible for our environment. But I've got a solution. Stay with me here. Before y'all get all fired up and heads explode and everything, just hear me out just for a second. Lithium batteries are actually absolutely horrible for our environment. Absolutely horrible for our environment. Mining of the lithium, building of the batteries, charging of the batteries, and then at the end of its lifespan, disposing of the batteries. It's horrible, horrible for the environment. Mining the lithium, that's not a green process. It's not. Building of the batteries, they're really not built here in the US, where we have high standards for emissions for our factories. They're built primarily in China. China does not have these emissions laws like we do here in the United States. Even though that's halfway around the world, that it still affects the planet. It still affects us indirectly. It's not good. Once you have the batteries built, charging the batteries. How are they charged? Now you can charge lithium batteries with solar, and I'll get to that in just a second. But if you charge your lithium batteries by plugging them in a wall, by plugging your electric car into an electrical outlet, into a wall, where's that electricity come from? It comes from power plants. Most of the power plants here in the United States are powered by natural gas or coal. Well, that's not environmentally friendly. Okay. Now, disposing of lithium batteries. You just throw them away in a landfill? Hopefully not. You recycle them. But to recycle a lithium battery, well, you really can't reuse very much in a lithium battery. You really can't. So you still have some of the lithium battery that has to be disposed of somewhere. Okay. So that takes care of the batteries. So let's talk about solar just briefly, okay? Solar panels are not green. Once again, let's look at the manufacturing process. There are some panels made all throughout the world. There really are. But once again, a vast majority of them are made in China. Hello, kitty. And once again, China does not have the emission standards that we have in the United States. So what do you need to build a solar panel? Silicone, copper, a little bit of lead. Yes, there's lead in there. Aluminum. How is copper mined? Strip mining. Where's lead come from? Now, granted, a lot of lead is recycled, but lead is still not good for the environment or for people. So, once you have a solar panel up and running, very, very little maintenance. And yes, it can recharge lithium battery. So that's good. But what happens at the end of the life cycle? What happens when the solar panels are not producing anymore? Or what happens if a hailstorm comes through and completely destroys the solar panels? What happens? Well, right now, most of them go into a landfill. Can you recycle solar panels? Yeah, you can. I saw a report just the other day that said it costs between $30 to $40 per solar panel to recycle them. That's not cheap. That's very expensive. And the recycle process, where does all of that energy come from? So this green energy is not so green. It's not good for the environment. It's really not. But I think I have a solution. Internal combustion engines, yes, they are notoriously dirty. There's ways that you can improve the efficiency of an internal combustion engine. I've got some videos here on my channel that show that, running vapor. But the downfall is, when you improve the efficiency of an internal combustion engine, you also increase the noxious emissions output, NOx, nitrates of oxide, not nitrous oxide. It is different. Nitrates of oxide. That's really, really bad for our environment. Plus, of course, you've got gasoline, which has to be drilled out of the ground. Fracking, pumping nasty water back into the ground, which I don't know. I don't think that's really a good answer either. It's a short-term answer, but it's not a good long-term answer. So if green energy is not green, internal combustion engines are not good either with gasoline or diesel. So what's a good alternative? Well, when it comes to fuel, hydrogen is the most abundant gas in the galaxy, from what I know. It's the most abundant gas on this planet, hydrogen. Hydrogen with oxygen is very flammable. Very flammable. And it burns very, very clean. Very clean. But of course it does take energy to get the hydrogen, to store the hydrogen, to pump the hydrogen. Now, hydrogen can be safe in a vehicle. There's vehicles out there that have propane, that run on propane or run on natural gas and have extremely high pressure tanks. Well, there are certain standards that we go by. Of course, I do a video and daughter's phone is ringing. Let me silence this. So, hydrogen, high pressure hydrogen in the tanks. We have standards that we can go by to make them safe, to make them so they won't rupture in the event of a wreck. Out in California, there are a couple of hydrogen stations. There are some manufacturers out there, Honda is one of them, that have made hydrogen powered vehicles. Now, back to the green energy aspect of it all, there are ways to make electric cars more green. Now, I'll get to the batteries in just a second, but first let me talk about the solar panels. Several decades ago, we had a major problem. Car batteries were being dumped in landfills, so you were having lead contamination into the soil. All the plastic, I mean, just really bad. So the government stepped in and said, okay, we're going to mandate a environmental fee or a core charge when you buy a battery. And this money is going to be put towards recycling. And within about 10-15 years, there were no more batteries being dumped in the landfills. They were being recycled. Maybe we need to start doing that with solar panels as well. When they're when they're sold, charge recycling fee. That money goes straight towards recycling. When you're finished with the solar panel, there should be a core charge. If you bring it back to a recycling place or sell it back to a company that sells solar panels, they can take that as a core charge. But if you just go and dump it, guess what? You lose the core charge. You lose that money. That's a way to incentivize the recycling of the solar panels, and as a way for the government to not subsidize recycling of the solar panels, but have those extra charges directly into the cost of the solar panels. We don't need government to handle anything and everything. Before you know it, the government will be in control of everything, and then we have no freedoms. But if it was mandated that we had this recycling fee rolled into new solar panels, that would help to fund the recycling of solar panels and would make it really and truly a greener choice. Now, what about the batteries? Once again, lithium batteries, horrible for the environment. Can't really recycle them, really. They don't have a really long lifespan. I mean, 10-15 years in an electric car, if you're lucky, that's what you'll get out of them. And then you got to buy a new battery. Now, what I would like to see is there be more investment, more research and development done on capacitors. Now, there are supercapacitors out there that hold an enormous amount of energy, and it's able to release that energy very quickly, or a lot slower. Now, the downfall with supercapacitors is for the amount of energy for the long term, you gotta have a boatload of them, a bunch of them. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So we need to put more R&D research into making those smaller. Now, the average life cycle of a supercapacitor, that's like 1 million cycles. 1 million cycles. Charge and discharge completely. And you can completely discharge a supercapacitor down to 0 volts. Okay, no big deal. Charge it back up again. It's fine. The best lithium batteries that are out there right now, the most expensive, the highest, the best ones that can be made right now are around the 20 to 30,000 cycles, which, don't get me wrong, is really good. But the cost And the cost to the environment, it's not good. So the question is, how could you make the supercapacitors power an electric car in a way that you would never have to buy another battery? Matter of fact, once the car broke down completely, deteriorated because of time, you could take that battery out and move it to a new car and continue going. 1 million cycles. That's just crazy. It's just crazy, but it is. I mean, they're just amazing. Am I wrong here? Green energy is a farce. It's not green. It's not good for the environment. It's horrible for the environment. So why are all these people pushing green energy? For control. That's all it is. It's just about control. Don't fall for it, people. Don't fall for it. There are better ways. Better ways are coming. God bless y'all. Thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for listening. If I'm wrong, put it in the comments. Let me know what you think. I mean, shoot. I'm not an educated man. I've never been to college, nothing like that. Well, a little bit of mechanic work, but trade school. But if I can figure this out, if I can see this, we're being lied to. And y'all need to open your eyes up. There's better ways. So let's get to work on it. Let's figure it out. God bless y'all. Y'all have a good day. We'll see you next time.